Live from Arkansas streaming news leader, this is THV 11 Morning News at 7 on THV 11 Plus.
Hey everybody, welcome to THV 11 Plus on this Tuesday morning. It is July 1st and good morning to you. I'm Hayden Balgavy.
And I'm Karen Fuller.
I'm meteorologist Tracy Bean.
Yeah, good morning. I'm Ashley King. Second day, here we are.
Ready to rock and roll. Of course, a lot of folks, again, if you are enjoying the week off, of course, 4th of July coming up on Friday.
Good for you.
If you're enjoying the week off, fantastic. Not everybody can take off, though, which means you got to get to work. We got to get going.
So there's some traffic out there.
There is some traffic out there for sure.
Yeah, it's not too bad, though. We do have some light traffic this morning. I think, summertime in Arkansas, it's already a little bit light, and then you mix in the week of the 4th of July. I think a lot of people take their vacations this week, so lucky for you if you do have to work. Traffic is just a little bit lighter. Let's get a look at our traffic cam right now from I-Drive, Arkansas. This is I-430 south of the Arkansas River Bridge. It's just rolling right along. Light traffic, beautiful sunrise this morning. Looks like things are going pretty well. And when we do look at the map right now, as you can see, it's pretty clear. We look at an accident actually that did just pop up right here in Jefferson County. We'll get a check of that. That just popped up in the last couple of minutes. So if you're coming in this area, there may be some backup, but that just popped up. So we'll get a check of that here in just a few minutes. But looking at those drive times into downtown Little Rock, Jacksonville, Hardin Drive. If you're coming from that area, you've got about an 18-minute drive. Whitehall, 30-minute drive, but we're going to be checking to see with that accident there that may change things just a little bit. We'll get an update on that in just a bit. Chenal, if you're coming down from Chenal, Rawling Road area, right there at the promenade, only about a 14-minute drive right now, but of course all of this will pick up because it's just 7:02, so things are just getting started right now. And we're looking at a beautiful week, hopefully, Tracy, July 4th week. Let's get a look at that weather forecast.
Well, it's not going to be too bad. In fact, it's going to be nice for it to be July. You always think of just that very hot, sweaty weather, and it is going to be hot. That is for sure. But we're starting out at 74. If you stepped outside, it is still a little bit humid, but we've got some drier, cooler air making its way into the metro. Still looking at those mid to upper 70s to our south today. We are looking for that mix of sun and clouds. We've got a frontal boundary continuing to drape through. 90 is our high, which again is still very warm, and our heat index value will be around 98. But here's the good news. We do not have a heat advisory today, and we shouldn't have it for the next few days, and 90 is where we should be for this time of year. So again, we're going to start to see those temperatures be where they should be for a few days, and then things are going to ramp up as we're heading into later in the week into the weekend. Across the state, again, 80s for high. When's the last time we saw that? Nice. Again, 90 here in central Arkansas, keeping those mid 90s, and Monticello could see some afternoon storms, which is keeping their high today just a little bit lower than the surrounding areas there. A few of those stray storms mainly to our south, but again, that heat is going to ramp up, and as we're heading into Saturday, Sunday, Monday, that humidity's coming back as well. So enjoy these days right here because we can handle those lower 90s. Get out and enjoy summer as we're ramping up to the holiday on Friday. Good news is Friday's looking fantastic. We'll look at that 4th of July forecast coming up.
New this morning, Arkansas Game and Fish confirm a second drowning in 2 weeks. It happened in a deep cove on Lake Ouachita where dive teams spent the weekend searching, and officials say the mission has now shifted to a recovery effort. So far, no information about the victim is being released, but we'll keep following this story and share updates with you as they come in.
Well, this morning, fire officials across central Arkansas are sounding the alarm. Deadly house fires happening more often, and the numbers are already worse than last year.
The State Fire Marshal's office says small safety steps could make a life-saving difference. And THV 11's Tamer Knight joins us now with what is driving the increase and what folks can do to protect themselves and their homes. Good morning, Tamer.
Well, good morning, Karen and Hayden. In just the past 2 weeks, 2 people have died in house fires in central Arkansas. Officials say last year, 27 people lost their lives, and this year they have already had 34 deaths. That's averaging more than 1 fire-related death per week. We're only halfway through the calendar year, and according to State's Fire Marshal's office, the fire fatalities in 2024 are already higher than last year. The reason why, officials believe, overloaded electrical outlets during summer and homes without working smoke detectors. And many of those fatal fires, no alarms were present. Officials say unless action is taken soon, this year could break a tragic record.
If you've got plugs that are giving you problems or breakers that are tripping or anything else, you need to make sure you get those things taken care of. Your last line of defense is when you go to bed at night, sleep with your door closed.
Officials say having a working smoke detector could increase your chance of surviving a fire by up to 60%. Help is available. You can get a free smoke detector through your local fire department or even by reaching out to emergency management. If you or someone you know needs a smoke detector, don't wait. Visit your local fire department or go to thv11.com for details. For Tamer Knight, THV 11 Morning News.
Yeah, some really simple steps could help save not only your life, but your family's life as well. Tamer, thank you.
Easy to do. If you are still recovering from severe storms or tornadoes from March, the deadline to apply for FEMA aid is approaching. You have until Monday, July 14th to submit your application for disaster assistance. To apply, you can visit disasterassistance.gov or call the FEMA helpline at 800-621-FEMA. That's 800-621-3362. The phone lines are open daily from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Happening right now, another all-nighter in the Senate to push through President Trump's massive spending bill before his July 4th deadline on Friday.
Lawmakers are calling it a vote-a-rama. They began Monday morning at 9 a.m. Naomi Ruckham shows us the president took to social media overnight, but he is not the only one putting pressure on lawmakers.
No. The marathon vote on amendments continued overnight as Senate Republicans raced to pass President Donald Trump's massive spending package.
This is Congress's job, and by God, we ought to do it.
The bill includes an extension of the president's 2017 tax cuts, his campaign promise of no tax on tips, a new tax on wind and solar projects that use materials from China, and increased border and defense spending. But lawmakers in both parties have come out against its steep cuts to Medicaid.
This bill is going to ruin people's lives.
Fiscal conservatives have balked at the latest Congressional Budget Office report that predicts the Senate's bill would add up to $3.3 trillion to the deficit over the next decade. On social media, President Trump pushed to get his one big beautiful bill across the finish line by his July 4th deadline, calling the legislation the greatest and most important of its kind in history.
Republicans need to stay tough and unified during the home stretch, and we are counting on them to get the job done.
Overnight, the president also reignited his feud with billionaire Elon Musk after Musk threatened on X that any lawmaker who votes for the massive bill, quote, will lose their primary next year if it's the last thing I do on this earth. President Trump fired back, suggesting his administration should take a good hard look at government subsidies for Musk's space, internet, and electric car companies, adding there's big money to be saved. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News.
As the federal budget battle continues, Arkansas PBS is staying with its national network for another year.
The board voted to renew its membership with PBS despite uncertainty over federal funding cuts proposed by the president.
Losing that funding could cost the network more than $2 million. That's half of its operating budget. The Arkansas PBS Foundation plans to cover more than $1 million in lost federal funds, while the network makes cuts to try and keep national programming on the air.
In other news this morning, the Justice Department announcing what it calls the, quote, largest coordinated health care fraud crackdown in its history. The feds calling it Operation Gold Rush. Federal officials have charged 324 people accused of submitting more than $14 billion in false claims to Medicare, Medicaid, as well as other programs. Prosecutors say the group bought medical supply stores to file those fake claims.
Every fraudulent claim, every fake billing, every kickback scheme represents money taken directly from the pockets of American taxpayers who fund these essential programs through their hard work and sacrifice.
The DOJ also revealing that more than 1 million Americans had their identity stolen in the process. Back here at home, Attorney General Tim Griffin announcing 3 arrests in separate Medicaid fraud cases. The charges including exploitation and abuse of vulnerable people, along with Medicaid fraud. Griffin says these arrests show his office's commitment to holding offenders accountable and says the fight is not over.
Time now 7:10. A group of Arkansas residents is asking Washington County leaders to hit pause on a proposed wind farm near Lincoln. Members of Concerned Citizens of the Ozarks say they've seen what wind turbines can do and want more review before any decisions are made. The group, speaking at Monday night's County Services Committee meeting, warning the project could damage roads, affect water supplies, and permanently alter the landscape. They're calling for a temporary moratorium to give local officials more time to study the potential impacts.
To pass a moratorium ordinance just so they can research and find out for themselves. Get educated. That's what you're here for, to do what is in the best interest of the entire county.
County leaders say the project is still in its early stages and would need a conditional use permit to move forward. The developer, Rest Group, says it plans to hold more public meetings later this year. Time now to turn back to Ashley King with a check of the roads this morning. Ashley?
Yeah, good morning, Karen. It looks like pretty clear as far as our traffic goes. I mean, it's starting to build this morning. It's the usual time, 7-11, when we start to see that traffic build. But for the most part, it looks good across the metro. We're looking at I-530 right now at Redfield. This is the exit 20. There is an accident that just popped up in the area, but it just happened. It's not really causing any backups right now. This is an accident, as you can see here, scrolling down to that area. It is just 1 mile northwest of Redfield. So this is mile marker 17.9. It's a one vehicle accident and the left shoulder is impacted. So as of now, it's not causing any issues and it looks pretty clear across the rest of the metro. Our drive times right now coming into downtown Little Rock look pretty good. Jacksonville Hardin Drive again, 18-minute drive, which is pretty typical for this time of day. Whitehall is starting to pick up. 33-minute drive to downtown Little Rock. Chenal Rawling Road, 15-minute drive. So starting to increase just a little bit from the last time that we checked, but not bad. So stay safe as you're heading out this morning, and we'll get back to another check here in just a bit. But first, let's get over there to Tracy to see how the weather looks.
Well, the good news is this morning we are not seeing any impacts from the weather on traffic, which I always love that. 74 to start your morning off. If you stepped outside, it's still feeling a bit humid, but I want you to notice the difference in these temperatures. We've got 72s, 74, and 78. There's a frontal boundary that's just draped right here, and we've got some cooler, drier air making its way into central and southern Arkansas. So it feels a little bit better to our north, but we're all going to feel a little bit better this afternoon. And here is what we are looking at, a high today of around 90. Now, I know this heat index of 98 is still very warm, but we are continuing to see those dew points go down just a little bit, and the actual air temperature isn't in the mid to upper 90s. So that's nice. That makes a big difference in itself. Southern Arkansas not getting to enjoy these cooler temperatures just yet, but they will by tomorrow as we're heading into your Wednesday afternoon. Still looking for those low 90s for high, still feeling a bit like 94. So today feeling like 98, tomorrow 94. Again, the dew points are going down. Feeling like the 80s in the northern areas of the state. We're still going to see those temperatures in the mid 90s. Still feeling very warm there in Camden, but again, it is still a bit of relief from that very, very intense heat. We are going to continue to see those rain chances this afternoon as that frontal boundary again makes its way through the rest of the state this afternoon. Some of these storms here around Monticello, that extreme southeastern corner of the state, could be a bit severe at times, mainly looking at some windy conditions, but they're going to move on out of here, and that max heating of the day, we could see a few of those pop-up storms as well, but then we're going to start to clear, and again, those dew points are going down, a few high clouds for the next few days before we see all that heat and humidity ramping back up. That's coming this weekend.